Alright, so here we have a spanky new Dell Inspiron 15, specifically the 7000 series, and more specifically, the Inspiron 7506, the 2-in-1 in silver. And we're going to unbox this. We are going to disassemble it, explain how to upgrade it. We are going to set it up and configure it, and we are going to benchmark it. This specifically, however, is the 2-in-1 version. In other words, the keyboard that folds over. And if that's not what you're looking for, if you just want the base model, well, it's not base, but the standard model, we've already completed a review on that, the same deal, unboxing, so on and so forth. That's in the top right-hand corner. So just click on that and you'll be on your way. So before we get to pulling this apart and setting it up, let's explain what's in it. So there's 8 gig of RAM, there's a 256 gig M.2 PCIe NVMe solid state drive. In other words, it should be quite fast. It is Wi-Fi 6. It's also an 11th gen Intel i5 with it's 4 real cores, 4 hyperthreads, so it's going to show 8 cores. And it also has a fingerprint scanner and a 15.6 inch 19 by 20 by 1080 touchscreen, which I just love. Now, this also has built into the CPU the Iris Xe graphics video card. And before you think integrated video is going to suck, not in this. The Iris Xe is the next gen. We're going to throw up a little clip of a video right now. So here we go.
Intel Iris Xe graphics can give you up to double the performance over our previous generation. And we're now getting frame rates and image render times that rival discrete GPUs for thin and light laptops. The Iris Xe engine is packed with more shading resources than ever. And those shading resources, which we call execution units, or EUs, allow us to apply all the visual effects that developers use to make their games look amazing. Where the 10th gen design had 64 EUs, Iris Xe graphics in 11th gen packs 96 execution units. The more specialized effects, or shader programs, we can run at the same time, the faster we can complete each frame. And rendering more frames every second translates to smoother performance. The GPU runs it up to 1.35 GHz. That's an almost 23% speed up compared to the previous generation. Data compression is also applied to Iris Xe's media and display blocks too. Iris Xe is also the first mobile GPU from any vendor with hardware-accelerated AV1 decode. Now, if you haven't heard of AV1, it's the hottest thing in video compression right now, allowing creators to compress content and transmit it efficiently over congested networks with very high quality. Simply said, with AV1, you get better looking video without putting any additional demands on your internet connection. Now, decoding AV1 video is really processing intensive, and specialized hardware on Iris Xe handles most of the job without breaking a sweat. And since YouTube, Vimeo, Netflix are all in the early stages of rolling out AV1 coded video, offloading that decode to Iris Xe is gonna stretch out your battery life while you're binging on your favorite new TV series. For big screen entertainment or multi-monitor productivity, the GPU can drive up to 4 4K screens, and it even has the bandwidth to power 8K displays. Iris Xe is also the first GPU industry-wide to accelerate Dolby Vision in hardware. Now, Netflix has a good number of shows and movies available in Dolby Vision, and I get pretty excited when those pop up because they look great. Older games, written with DirectX 11 in mind, are especially sensitive to driver overhead, so we completely rewrote that component of our software package to minimize latency and prevent stalls in our rendering pipeline. Together, our software stack and hardware engine deliver playable frame rates in games that simply weren't accessible on thin and light laptops before. We're talking about AAA titles, and for multiplayer games where every frame matters, we're averaging more than 100 frames per second at 1920 by 1080. That's full HD, and in some cases, even twice the frame rates.
So this whole package comes in at about 4.2 pounds, which is about a pound heavier than the Surface Book that I'm using it to replace. And it's about half a pound heavier than the non-2-in-1 version that also isn't a touchscreen. But that's not very much. This is still going to be very thin and very light, very executive. Okay, so let's get to pulling it apart. I'd like to interject for just 10 seconds and ask you to click like if you found this video useful. Our site is dedicated to explaining technology in simple ways and providing cookbook answers for technical problems. We spend a lot of time on Windows 10 and Windows Server. We spend a lot of time on Azure, Office 365, but mostly Our products are about how-tos. Lots and lots of cookbooks, like how to uninstall something when it's stuck. If you would click subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. It really helps us with the Google algorithm. Thanks for your help, and back to the show. When we look through the box, look around the box, there's nothing interesting here at all, except this little Inspiron 7000 label explaining what I just explained to you. So, oh yes, that's right, it's got Thunderbolt 4 as well, which is a big freaking deal. Okay, let's go through the box, right? Nothing on the top, nothing on the other side. Okay, now I like to pull things apart nicely so that I can return them if I have a problem. So instead of just tearing into this, I'll cut the plastic. Most people will just tear into it, but I don't like to do that. So you do whatever you want. I also only keep laptops about a year or so, so I like to sell them. All right, so let's pull this apart. We'll do the unboxing. I'm expecting the unboxing to be very boring. Fortunately, it's also going to be just a few seconds. Yep, that's just what I expected. So in here, we have a North American cord, which you can probably guess why, because I'm in North America. There we go, get rid of that. And we have the AC adapter that goes with it. Look at that, how exciting. Okay, I'm gonna put that aside, we don't care about that. And then there's the eggshell carton container. We have the laptop. I'm gonna get rid of the box now because it's just clutter. And we have, oh my goodness, the warranty and safety regulatory information. Wow, that's gonna be some good reading. Not. And then there's, they actually do have a little explanation of what's in it. All right, so let's just take a quick look through this. I'll just pull it out for you. We're not going to read it, so don't worry about that. We're just going to explain what it's got so you can see. Yeah, nothing interesting there. It tells you where to plug things in. Wonderful. Okay, let's get rid of that. Don't care about that either. Now let's get right to opening this up. Okay, let's turn it around and let's pop this guy open and look at that. Nice backlit screen, fingerprint scanner, giant screen for typing, number pad over here, which is just awesome. Let's flip this sucker over. Here, let's do it so you can see it better. There we go, we'll do it like this. There. Now you can see it, and it just folds over. Sorry, I know that was a bit rough, but there you go. Get the idea? And now I can use this as a tablet. Fantastic. Okay, now something that's in all of these new Dells is this. Dell has these awesome vents right here and here. And you think, really, you're excited about vents? Yes, I'm excited about vents. Because if you put this on your lap and it's a regular laptop, what will happen is all of the goo, in other words, you know, your house coat, your jean fuzz, whatever else, is going to get sucked into it. And that's because typically these vents on the back are input, but they're not. This is output. The vents that I just showed you were the input, and because they're placed along the edge of the monitor here, you won't get garbage in them. So this is just output. This is just venting. So, by the way, these grills on the side, they're just for the speakers. Okay, so I think that's enough of that. We're going to go over the ports in a minute, but let's get to unscrewing it before we do anything else. I can tell you from experience that a normal small screwdriver for this, like that, will not do it. I'm going to try just on principle, but it probably won't. Yeah, no, it's just going to strip them. So what you got to do is use something smaller. Not very challenging. I'm trying to use tools that everybody has so that you can do this at home, but I'm telling you that you're going to have troubles with this unless you have, you know, really small tools. So head out to your local hardware store and buy some small screwdrivers if you don't already have them. Let's see if this works. I'm going to speed this up, by the way, so you don't have to sit here and watch, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. Most notably, there is not one in the middle. All right, so these 3 back screws must have washers on the other side that don't come off. Just listen. You back it off until you hear it click. Just listen. Hear that? All right. Now, normally with a laptop, what you're looking for is a pry point, which is a little notch that's cut in that you can pry under. This doesn't have one. However, I did notice that this just popped up. If it hadn't, what I would do is take something small, little screwdriver, and I would just gently apply it in here to pry that up. Now, I'm going to assume you don't have a proper pry tool like this one. So how do you get this off? Well, typically what you do is use a credit card. Just use an old credit card and just pop that out and just work your way around. And once you get to, once you get to here, you don't even need the card anymore. It'll just come off. So let's get that going. I'll just lift this up. There it is. Okay, so on the back here, really nothing too interesting other than a few dates. Let's see here. Ooh, made in China. Thank you. And this was made January 5th of 2021. That's when the actual manufacture took place. Okay, so let's go through this. This is surprisingly a bit different from the non 2-in-1. Specifically, what's different is this one has a single slot for the SSD, even though it's labeled SSD2 there. On the one that doesn't fold over, there's a slot right here that's labeled SSD1, and that's where your SSD goes. This, by the way, is your Wi-Fi card. Okay, so there is a difference here, but let's roll over it. Okay, so first, speakers. Speaker 1, speaker 2, these just pop straight out. I'm not going to do that, but that's what they do. Secondly, that's your solid-state drive. Thirdly, this is your memory. Now, this one is, I think both slots are populated. They are. And I can see that this little cover has not been put on straight, so I'm going to pull it off and put it on straight. It doesn't make any difference, but it just irks me that it's not done properly. So there we go. Now it's back on. Okay. So I'm going to lift this up. Don't use metal in here, by the way. You can short things out. But there you go. So there's 2 slots. And as it says, DDR4 only, so you're good. This is a heat pipe, which cools the, takes the heat from the CPU and just cools it off. Then, again, we have the Wi-Fi card. You'll see there's 2 antennas here. One that's going down behind the keyboard, one that's going up behind the screen, so that you can move the laptop in any direction and you'll still have good coverage. It also has this little watch battery, which is, yeah, it's labeled right there, 2032. And that's a standard watch battery, and what that does is keep your BIOS settings when the machine is powered off, or when the main battery dies. The main battery here is a 4-cell, and you'll see it's 53 watts. Now, depending on the country you're in, you could get a 3-cell, and that will say 40 watt hours. So just take note of that. Now I'm going to put up in the top right-hand corner here a showing of the different sizes of solid-state drives these days. The most common is a 2280, as far as larger drives go, that is. And you might think, well, I can't fit that in here because I don't have a mount for it, but you can. You can take this screw out right here, and you can turn the mount around, and then you'll be able to put in a 2242, and you'll also be able to move it back here and get a 2280, which is the real standard one. In case you're wondering what those numbers mean, it's 22 millimeters by, well, this is a 30, there's a 42, there's an 80, there's even 110, but 80 is the really common one. Okay, so I think you should understand how to upgrade this. If you have any questions, just let us know at the bottom, but it's pretty straightforward. As far as the battery goes, which is something that you will be looking at in the future, there's 2, 4, 5 screws to take out to replace the battery. And I can see that this was also pinched when it was assembled. This was not put together with love, so I'm just going to slide that back. There we go, so that that cable does not get pinched. But basically, you take those 5 screws out. It will lift out from the front, so you lift, or from the back, I should say. So you grab this tab and lift it up and out, and then this little clip just comes right off, this little connector, so you're good to go. All right, so that's the entire inside. Now let's put the back on. Again, I'll speed this up so you don't have to sit and wait. We have an HDMI 1.4 port, and that HDMI supports, I believe Dell has it limited to 3 4K screens, but the CPU actually supports 4, but I think Dell has it limited to 3. Then there's a USB 3.1 or 3.2, actually, I believe it is, Type A port, in other words, the old rectangular port, has power, it's quite fast, so on and so forth. But then here's the joy. That is a Thunderbolt port, display port. So what happens is this USB Type-C port can be used for multiple DisplayPort screens, can be used for super fast transfers from your phone, can be used for all of the goodness that Thunderbolt brings. So that is a big freaking deal. Okay, let's move around and you'll see that there's nothing else on the front that's of interest, nothing on the side that's of interest. Well, the only thing that's on the side here that's particularly interesting that you might not have thought of is the thickness. So this is, they say it's 0.5 inches thick, and it's 0.7 in actual fact because this is beveled, right? So When you add it up, it's 0.7. It's very, very light and very, very thin. And I can say light because, you know, it's in my hands. It's light. This is an SD card reader, which everybody needs these days. And there is a USB 3.2 Type A port. And oh, sorry, that's the headphone jack. Let's look along the back here, and you'll see there's nothing of interest other than the vents that I already explained. That's actually the power, right? So, right. Okay, so let's get the powering this thing up. First thing I'm going to do is plug it in. Power switch is right there on the fingerprint scanner. I'll speed this up so you don't sit through it. But I will say that in case you're wondering why there are so many questions now with Windows 10, it's because they had to meet GDPR regulations, which is for our European friends, privacy regulations. And every question has to be on a separate and distinct page and needs to have a clear set of answers. So basically, most people are just going to want to click yes all the way through it, but feel free to read it. This is not an infrared camera, at least not to my knowledge. I'm going to verify it, but I believe it's not. And as such, it can't be used for Windows Hello, which is the face recognition for sign-in. It's a little unfortunate. I'd really like that, but at least it does have the fingerprint scanner, and that is almost as good. All right, so that's my custom background, which it pulled up from my OneDrive. So that's just because I signed in. Now, as I said, the very first thing I'm going to do is start the updates, because that takes a while. And then I'm going to start removing any of the junk that's on here. So let me click check for updates, and we'll just let that sit. Let's go back to home, go to apps, and we'll delete any junk, which is Alexa. Bye-bye. Few people will need a third-party antivirus, but if you want one, I highly recommend you don't use McAfee or Norton's retail product. Windows Defender is actually very good. It rates right in the middle with everybody else. That's all I run. Although I do run additional scans from time to time with third-party tools. Okay, this little My Dell pop-up is just garbage. It doesn't really do anything. Okay, well, while we're waiting here, let's do two other things. Let's bring up Device Manager, sorry, of course I have it, and see if everything's installed. It is. I don't see any bangs. I don't see any problems on here. And let's also bring up Task Manager. And, oops, drivers are being updated in case you're wondering. That's completely normal. Let's go to more details here. And go to performance, and if we right click on this, we can change the graph to logical processors, and you will see that there are 8. Yay! So 8's a good number. That's 4 physical and 4 virtual for a total of 8. It has 8 gig of RAM, solid state drive, it supports Wi-Fi 6, and it's rocking the Intel Iris Xe graphics, as you saw a moment ago. Very nice. McAfee's finally done. Let's do restart later, and I believe there are 2 McAfees. Web Advisor by McAfee. Bye. Dolby Vision support. Very nice. Like we just talked about in the Iris Xe. I think that's all of the junk gone. That's the heavy junk anyway. Let's go back to home. And let's go take a look at where the updates are. Yeah, so I'm not going to make you wait. Okay, so while this is finishing off doing its update, wow, boy, that's nice. It looks like it's already finished off its updates. No CPU grinding away there. Okay, anyway, one of the things I noticed while we were waiting was that in Device Manager, not Device Mangler as I always call it, sorry, I noticed that under biometric devices, there's a Windows Hello face software device. In other words, maybe this will do face recognition, so let's give it a shot. We'll go here. Change account settings, sign-in options, Windows Hello Face. Windows couldn't find compatible. There we go. That's what I expected. Okay, so let's get on to NovaBench and run some benchmarks. Yes, and then we'll go here and we'll just double click on the virus and threat protection, manage settings, and I'll turn off real-time protection, which it's just going to hate to do. I'm going to get rid of that, start NovaBench. Yes, I know the antivirus is off. And before we actually run the benchmark, we want to make sure that the CPU is quiet, that it's not doing anything in the background. So let's let this sit for a second. It's also important to run the tests 3 times, because on any given test, at least 3 times, because on any given test, well, there might be a problem. Okay, so CPU is now down. Let's get rid of this and let's run the tests. Again, I won't make you wait. All right, so we're going to call this as having a 2000 score on NovaBench, 2003 on this one, 86 on this one, 1987. Let's just call it 2000 to make. About the only weak spot in here is this, the write speed. So if you have a Crucial P1 or P2 or Western Digital SN550, you'll get double those speeds. But write speed isn't the end of the earth. Most of what you're worried about is read speed. So, and by the way, that's still crazy fast compared to, old spinning drives or hybrid drives or even original SSDs. So this is still great, just not as great as it could be. Another thing to note is that this is an actual test number, not some benchmark number that the manufacturers come up with, which means, there's probably benchmarks out at somewhere like 1,000 and 2,000, and, not bad. As far as the GPU score goes, as we saw with the testing of the Intel XE that Intel showed, it is fantastic with games these days. Now, it's not perfect by any stretch, but it is impressive. So at this point, I think the only thing I'd like to say is that the 3 things I wish that this had, and this is a ridiculous wish list as far as, to make it perfect, not that there's anything wrong, is 1, I really like having a Windows Hello camera, but the fingerprint scanner is just fine. The second thing is that on this particular model, instead of putting a single 8 gig stick in, they put 2 4s in, which will actually make it run faster, by the way. So that's a good thing, except in the future when I want to upgrade from 8 to 16, I've got to toss 1 or both of those sticks, and that's just seems silly. And the third thing is, unlike the non 2-in-1 version, which supports 2 solid-state SSDs, hence the SS, this only supports 1. Not a crisis, but it would be nice if it had, if it had that second drive. Other than that, this thing is fantastic. It much like its standard desktop counterpart that doesn't flip over with the regular hinges, it has this little lip that, let's just show you, that lifts up. I know that's hard to see, but just trust me, that's what it does. So this unit is ideal for students. Let's rephrase that. It's ideal for almost every application because it is so thin and light. And you think, well, that's big. Yes, if you're a student or if you're actually working on a machine these days, I think most people have come to understand and come to agree that larger is better. Bigger is better. And the touchscreen on this is great. This is just a lovely device. Very happy with it. And that's that. If you would click like below, we'd really appreciate it. Super helps with the algorithm, as does you clicking subscribe. And if you have any questions, just put them in the comment section below, or you can always get a hold of us at www.urtech, that's urtech.ca. And that's that. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.